la 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 la. I love you like la 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 la.
What's up, everybody? Happy New Year. We have made
it.
It is 2021. We've made it. Congratulations.
We have.
We have.
And you're starting to get off with a Real Estate Lab podcast with your favorite realtors here. Don't forget to subscribe and leave comments for questions for future topics. If this is your first time tuning in, I'm JJ Tolentino with the Next Level Property Group. I'll be hosting for today, and co-hosting with me, we have, which way should I do this?
Down, ladies first. Sorry.
There you go.
What's up, everybody? I'm Liberty Walker with Pure Realty. Happy New Year. Hope you guys popped some bottles last night. We're here excited to talk about some real estate today.
Hey, everybody. I go by ianofAustin everywhere on the internet. Happy New Year. Thank you for joining in.
In today's topic, we're going to talk about buying a home in 2021. So the housing market last year was pretty much on fire. We've seen record low mortgage rates. And again, this is a general thing, but for the most part, there's been a lot of activity,
Right.
a lot of relocating, a lot of remote work, and home prices, especially in Austin, have pushed new boundaries as buyer demands continue to surge. So given what we saw in 2020, here's our predictions on 2021. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about is the way that typically in the past housing markets were predicted are in these like seasonal patterns. And there's basically no more spring season, you know, this whole thing about waiting for the spring season and going on. So Liberty, what do you think about this?
Yeah, so I would just want to say that last year, the seasonal patterns shifted. Our spring became summer. Summer was extended. Fall, it was just kind of amping up because of those low interest rates. And so it carried on through the fall. And I don't see that momentum slowing down in 2021. I hope that sellers have the confidence that they need to, to list their house today.
We're ready to buy already.
Yeah, there's somebody trying to list their house right now.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. You have a lot of people, like you said, that say, I want to wait until I'm used to waiting till spring. We'll sell it in the spring or we'll sell it in the summer. Well, that was always, in my opinion, a lot of that was driven by spring break, being able to clean because, you know, kids were off or they're getting ready for the summer. It's a lot of it was driven around the summer and people needing to move before the next school year. Like that was the hype. Or because the weather was nice, depending on your location. The weather was nicer, easier to do all that. Nobody wants to be moving in the middle of a blizzard. But now people are, you got schools that are remote. Their years are all messed up. So that it's changed the dynamic of what people have been doing. These last few months have been the hottest market, and it's winter.
Right.
Everywhere in the United States. So that traditional way of thinking is not necessarily going to work for you. So if you're new to home buying, good. You're learning the current method of how to get into a house versus what was being done 10, 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, and if you look at, I've seen charts, you know how title companies give you those sales charts and they're all graphical and nicely displayed. There was one that has it by year, and you could see a dip off right when the vid came around. And after that, the demand kept going. I mean, one way to look at it is it didn't necessarily stop anybody interested in purchasing a home. It delayed it. You know, you're not going to rent forever because of this or never move or never get that job in another city. It just moves it around a little bit. So now that we're in winter and a lot of these variables we're talking about might not matter as much, the demand is still high, especially considering other factors, whether it be jobs. And I think in Austin, what do y'all think about Austin for 2021?
Ooh, I love this question. What do you think, Liberty?
I mean, Austin's market is so healthy and hot. I mean, the biggest problem that we have is low inventory. And so that's the only thing I could foresee being an issue going forward.
I like that choice of words. The fact that you said healthy, right? It is a very healthy market in that there's a lot of movement. I think I worry a little bit. I don't want to worry. There are people that want to move into Austin, and there are a large amount of people that also want to move out of Austin, which is interesting. But people are moving. People need a place to stay. So it doesn't matter where you're coming from, where you're going to. People need a place to stay. So that dip, we're just not seeing that. We have people that want to have housing, and some are willing to pay the price. Some are trying to figure out how to pay the price.
So you're basically thinking still upward pricing pressure due to strong demand and low inventory in the Austin area.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. We've talked a number of times about like just the job market and then the influx of people coming from different locations. And while there are people, like I said, that are leaving the city, they're not leaving the greater Austin metropolitan area. You know, they might go out to Cedar Park or Leander or Georgetown instead of being in Austin proper. But you have a lot of people that are like, Austin proper, those prices are still pretty good compared to where I'm coming from. So that's where they're going to go.
Californians, possibly. Sometime.
Well, I have clients from California, New York, Florida, Hawaii, Costa Rica. It's irrelevant where people are coming from. We know look, hold on. So you are a unicorn, right? Like you've been here for a really long time, right, JJ?
I've been here for 20 years.
Okay. I've been here 6 years. Liberty, how long you been here?
I've been here 10.
Okay. So all of us are not from around here. Period. Like, so everybody's made this move. We understand what that's like. So I don't care where people come from. All I care is that we're doing the right things. We're not inflating values unnecessarily, and we're maintaining the values that people like here. Like, people like that the cost of living is affordable compared to a lot of other places in the United States. I want to support that.
We have condos. I mean, if you drive around like, East Cesar Chavez, like there are some huge condos going in, huge developments every corner. The corner of where I live, Loyola and Johnny Morris, there's some condos going up. I mean, We are building as fast as we can. And a lot of people don't mind living in condos with yard. Sure. You don't need a yard. I mean.
Well, and that's the other thing. You have to think about the type of people that are coming to a location. So Austin, we're supported by oil and technology. And then there's a lot of art mixed in, which is music, food, all that sort of stuff. Well, I mean, a lot of people that are in that space are either interested in a startup type economy, which is, I mean, I can go into a whole culture thing, but I hear a lot of the word. Have you heard of DINKs? Have you heard that term? So dual income, no kids. Yeah. Right. So somebody who has no kids and you've got two full income, full salaries. I mean, they can often afford more than what a family of 5 can afford, right? And when I say often, I mean like when you're looking at the numbers. So you might have a small percentage of population of families of 5 that can pay $900,000 for a house. But if you have no kids and 2 well-paid people, no pets, no other bills or what have you, that they can afford a lot more. So you have a lot of that moving into the city. I don't want to get all, what is it? It's not political, but that's the kind of thing that's for real. About. Like how many people, like the type of people that are moving here, why can they afford what they can afford? What's the draw? Where are they? And that points to where they're coming from, what they're willing to pay for the prices of the homes or the property tax. A lot of people just pay for the convenience of being downtown, period.
Yep.
And that's okay. Mm-hmm. It makes their life easier and better. It's less than it would have been.
So going back to socioeconomics, in regards to the remote workers, what do you think that has done to demand, and where is that kind of floating around in Austin or the greater Austin area?
I find that it gives people the freedom to either one come here, because I've had some people come from San Antonio that are working remotely. I mean, just from that, they're like, well, we might as well we love Austin, so we'll live here. Also giving them the flexibility of maybe moving to Leander or Liberty Hill, where maybe a commute would stand in the way before. Now it's not so bad. So I think we'll see a bigger spread of the suburbs. And I think that's actually going to be really good for house prices to kind of spread it out a little bit.
Yeah, I think the prices in the suburbs are going to increase at a slightly more rapid rate for that very reason. Because, you can get a 900 square foot house in Austin proper downtown, or you can get a 3,500 square foot house in Liberty Hill on 2 acres of land, and they are the same price.
You just got to keep that 3,500 square foot house cold in the summertime.
Because it's going to cost you a little bit. It is going to cost you. And property taxes are going to be higher. And I don't think people realize that. I like to talk about all those things when when someone's looking to buy. Yeah.
What do you think about this? Okay, so remote working is moving people around, right? Assuming that they're also getting away from denser spaces.
Yep.
So they're kind of sprinkling around the suburbs is how we're seeing it, right?
It's a little bit more. It's really funny because there are a lot of people that have the mentality of, I want to be in Austin, the city, right? But they want their green spaces and they want their, like their organic, what do you call them? Like the farmers markets. And how do you do that in an urban area? Like you can do that out in Georgetown. No problem.
Or I was going to say Bastrop. Like I feel
Bastrop,
Bastrop's like has the old Austin vibe. Like it's still like a small town, but it has culture and it is affordable.
It is, and that's the thing. It's like understanding where people want to go, because Austin, you can get everything that you're looking for, but it's going to cost you twice as much. And if you're willing to pay it, then wonderful. But there are a lot of people that see the prices online and they don't understand, that it's a lot more in reality in the heart of the city to do the same things just outside.
Do you think the vaccine will bring people closer back in a little bit more? Because I'm assuming there's more people exploring.
No, I don't really have much to say about, because I just don't know. I don't feel.
What's your professional gut telling you, since these people want to hear our professional spiel?
My gut thinks that having that be an option is going to make people feel a little bit more comfortable. I mean, I know people were like, let's just get out of 2020 to do something, to list or to buy.
Do you think we'll get that confidence into this year or next year?
I think
comment,
that
by the way, or a question.
I don't know.
That's a heck yes to SKM, by the way.
So Cedar Park. So like we know Cedar Park is just northwest.
Should we read the question out loud?
Please. Anybody listening on Spotify or what have you.
Someone asked, do you guys think Cedar Park prices are going to go up in 2021?
Absolutely.
Liberty, you think?
I think things are going to level off.
I'll bet
maybe
somebody.
That's hopeful thinking.
I'll bet anybody that wants to comment that they will go up.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm kind of with JJ. I want them to level off. Don't get me wrong. But what I think is going to happen is, because you have so many jobs coming to that Cedar Park, Brushy Creek area, so many jobs, and the school system is lauded by a lot of people when they're specifically looking at ratings, arbitrary ratings, but they're looking at ratings. Because of that, the draw is huge right now. I think there's so many people that want to be there, and so many jobs going there. Like Apple is there. You've got, the spillover from Facebook, from Google, from everything the domain has, and they're building that out too, right? Like
Apple's not even like literally there yet either. It's not even physically there yet. These are all still a speculative.
But people are moving with the hope for the appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
And as they should. Like, there's no sign of slowdown. So while I want Liberty to taper off, I really do. I don't know. Why would it? Why would it taper off? And the other thing is it's along the rail line. So if somebody's going to buy a house and they are remote working.
Okay, this is what I have been thinking. Okay.
Yeah.
I have been thinking that people who have investment properties that have been holding are becoming annoyed with the way that people right now don't have to pay rent. It can be, and then now they've stopped it. So now they're actually going to have, and so those people are going to have to move around, find more affordable spaces. I think that the people who have investment properties are going to want to list them more so. And I think more things are going to be coming on. And I think that will force it to level out a bit.
You know what's funny about that, the investment property? And I don't know if we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but the fact that a lot of these neighborhoods now are starting to investor lock. They're like, if you're an investor, if you're not moving here to come live here and you just want to rent it out, we're not even going to sell this house to you.
Yeah.
Lots of that. It's interesting. So I've got my secret neighborhoods where if I do have an investor and they want to invest, I can direct them there. But that's not very easy to find, which is
I noticed that too.
Good and bad.
Too. Liberty, I see where you're coming from. I don't think it's enough listings to alter the inventory.
Yeah.
I see more listings popping up. It's not just investors where it's like layered. Let's say it's investors and industry, going back to jobs. So I look at like a Vegas or a Hawaii, like a tourism and entertainment business that gets affected. And then there's listings that go up for various reasons on top of the investors that invested in those cities. So,
well, yeah. I think, what about okay, so South by this year, most likely not going to happen still. And so we saw what happened last year. People are scrambling. All those turnkey properties, all those Airbnbs, they are ahead looking forward. They're going to know that income's not going to be there already. So they're going to try to get those off of their hands.
So I love that. I absolutely agree that you're going to have a lot of people that are going to have the fear, they're going to be worried that, I'm not going to make the amount of money that I wanted to. And they might put it on the market. But we also have so many people that are sitting here with cash right now that if someone puts the right home on the market and it's near, in the right location for them, it won't even last the weekend. It only right now, a lot of properties only last the weekend because because strategically the listing agent holds it so that they can get more and more offers. But otherwise, they wouldn't even be lasting the weekend. They'd be gone in hours. Yeah. Some of them could be pre-sold before they hit the MLS.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you are making a point, because I noticed that too. When it hit, nobody could Airbnb. And at the time I had lease listings going up, and then I saw this lease listing competition. I was like, those are Airbnbs. What is going on? But, I think agreeing with Ian, if the buyer demand's here and the listing goes up a little bit, there's still that gap, and it's still going to be a seller's market unless it's completely.
Are interest rates, what are they doing right now? Has anyone looked today?
Okay, I'm going to pull this up. But before I do that, can we talk about what people can do if they're looking to buy? What are some good tips for people?
Let's move into writing offers. And, when it comes to loans, what's your take on this? Because we're moving in the direction of high demand is still going to be there. So basically for 2021, I'm saying prepare for the bid wars. Mm-hmm. And one of the things you could do, we're talking about loans, is get pre-approved. And on top of getting pre-approved, understanding how you're going to offer. So in regards to getting pre-approved, if you get your financing lined up and you prepare for this bidding war, you could look a lot more attractive to the seller. You have anything to comment on that, Liberty?
Yeah, I think that, I'll hear it always comes down to price. And I don't agree with that. I don't. I think there are some strategic ways that you can write things in the contract that make you a more desirable buyer, whether that's a shorter option period or more money in earnest to put down, or just different things that you can do to make the seller feel more confident to choose you to go under contract with.
Here's a tip that I've heard a lot of people talk about, and then when you receive it as a listing aid, like if you have a listing and you receive it, it's like, that does make a lot of sense. So not just that you're pre-qualified, or sorry, not even pre-qualified, pre-approved, or you have proof of funds if you're paying cash.
Hold on, let's pause right there real quick. There was a point in time when the market was slower, or being pre-qualified could get your conversation in with the seller, right?
Yeah.
Now, Ian shifted it to pre-approval, which basically means you're going to be working with your lender for a longer amount of time. So when you present your offer, you're totally cleaned up and looking more solid to a seller.
Well, because then you don't have that power in the contract to back out based on financing. So normally, I mean, it used to be, I could write 21 days to get financed and I'll be all right. But no, nobody wants to play that game because it's such a hot seller's market. They want to see that you already have the money proven, that someone will give you this hundreds of $1,000s to buy this house, and that you can move in 3 weeks, right? Because they have lives to live too. They don't want to play this let's wait 6 months.
Still taking 30 plus days to get scheduled and get out there?
So that's the other part of it. Some people are waiving the appraisals, right? Because that's another strong offer. You're saying, listen,
what are your thoughts on this? We're talking about, I wanted to even throw this out there because some people are like, oh, I'm financing and there's an appraiser that comes out, and how long? Yeah. And how much cash are you seeing floating around? Even the people that don't finance and have cash.
Got it. When you say floating around, you're talking about like what people are offering over or around the list price?
Or like, have you even been in, how many deals, how often do you see cash come into your transaction, or when you're in a bidding war, whether you're on the buy side or list side?
I would say every property that is compelling enough to get multiple offers will have one of those offers being cash.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, but generally what happens is the person that's paying cash has the mindset or the mentality set that they don't have to pay as much as someone who's financing, which is often true. Right? Listen, I don't need to worry about these approvals and these appraisals. I'm offering you just under what you said you wanted for this house. You don't have to worry about the appraisal. You don't have to worry about all that. Make it happen. And a lot of people, that they will accept that. So if you're coming in and you're pre-approved, that's great. But you might also have to say, don't worry about the appraisal. I'll bring the difference. So if there's a gap of $15,000 for what the house would appraise at versus what it's listed at, you as a buyer today, 2021, early 2021, because it might shift, you're almost expected to pay that gap in order to have what's called a strong offer when you're going in.
Mm-hmm.
It's an unfortunate but true scenario. If it's a resale home, it's a whole other conversation if it's a new build, but I don't want to get into that.
So me and Ian were looking at a Northeast Austin builder, and coincidentally, they were also doing multiple offers. You're saying sometimes a builder may have inventory and you could choose from it, which alters this whole seller buyer market scenario that we're talking about in the resale market. But there's also builders out there that will turn it back around on you and say, hey, it's multiple offer time. What do you got?
Yeah.
It's frustrating that even builders are doing that now. So that's why it's important. I think if you're looking to buy a home this year, it's important that if you have a build, like if you're doing a build, that you lock it in as soon as you can with that builder so that you don't have to deal with the competition, right? The builders already agreed that you are going to get this house whenever they're done building it. So that's the strongest position you can be in to not have to bring extra money to the table.
I actually agree with that. And I do see the builders also taking advantage of that.
Oh gosh, yeah. They're up in the price every house.
Yeah, and there was also that lumber shortage, but I recently looked at Blackhawk, Pflugerville, for instance, and there's like Gehan out there, and there's an opportunity, and I said, hey, that's good. At least we're not out, getting into this whole bid war thing. Let me run the comps. And it was for something in the low 400s, I saw, And given there was like 45,000 upgrades into it already, but I saw $100,000 difference in that particular neighborhood.
$100,000 over the price
from a year ago.
What? From a year ago? Yeah.
2019 to 2020.
And people are like, is the value there? It's like somebody paid $100,000 more for that house. I think they thought the value was there.
Yeah.
And that's, against all these other people. Of course the value is there for those people. Is it there for you? That's going to be based on your budget and your needs. I want to pull this up because Liberty had mentioned this earlier about the interest rate. So this is a graph from 2011 to now. So without going into like crazy numbers, this is where we are.
Yeah, I even think if the interest rates go up, it won't be dramatic, and the gradualness of it won't impede on the buyer demand.
Right. It might be the same type of increase. I would say maybe half of this increase, because this is a steep decline.
Mm-hmm.
Right. In 1 year's time.
It cannot get much lower than that. That's
right. It can't get lower, but even to come back. So like, let's say it takes an entire year to get back to 4%, 4.5%.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're still at the beginning of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's important information to consider. FYI, we've got 4 minutes.
Yeah, so let me wrap up here. As you can see, there are so many nuances to this new market. I think maybe me and Ian are a little bit more bullish on the seller's market.
Bullish?
At least on the seller side. Liberty's looking out for the inventory that's going to be going out there. But either way, talk to a realtor, because when you talk to one of us, we could tell you, we could look at the neighborhoods. For example, there could be two neighborhoods next to each other. One neighborhood could be getting 10 offers on one house, and the neighborhood over might be getting 3 or 4 offers. And that's worth something, because there's more bidding on one neighborhood than another. And you got the offer writing and how to do that, because between us, we see what works and what doesn't work. And we're writing offers every week. So we could definitely guide you on that. And another thing I wanted to throw in that I found pretty different from last year to expect for this year is a lot more electronic type of packages or delivery disclosures and remote notarizing. I mean, I've had closings that were done in garages that were done online. That's another thing to expect in 2021. Yes. Any other closing words for this year, or how to coach people through this year?
I just want to say that for all of the homeowners, the current homeowners that are listening that maybe did buy in 2020, email us. We can send you the link to get to file for your homestead exemption tax. So reach out to us for that. We can show you how to fill out that application. It's also online, or you can mail it in. So let us know if you need that.
And it's free. And it's free to do. If you see something come in that says it costs you $35, do not do it. Call your realtor.
No, it's a free service. And anyone that's 65 and older, you can get some exemptions too. Yeah.
If I were going to give a tip, I would say that if you have a house currently and you're in a position to hold that house, and this might sound counterintuitive coming from a realtor, but if you're in a position to hold that house and still buy your next house, I feel like the rental market is going to increase based on all the other factors coming in. So if you're trying to develop a portfolio, an investment portfolio, hold on to that house. Don't sell it unless you have to. If you have to, obviously, sometimes you have to sell it to have the equity to buy your next house. I get that. But if you can start building a portfolio, now is a really good time, specifically because the interest rates are so darn low. So you might pay a little bit over, but if you're holding on to a house for 20 years, capital gains doesn't matter. It all matters. But you're having this interest rate for the entire time you hold the loan on the house. If you're paying cash, it's hard to predict the future. It's impossible to predict the future, but I think the value is going to appreciate substantially if we look at any other markets that have gone through such a similar growth pattern.
Yeah, I agree with Ian there. I'm actually going to piggyback off of that and into a tidbit of advice where millennials that are entering this first time home buyers market, this is one of those times in Austin where they are starting to they're on that edge of affordability. And for them to afford a home, it might not be central. So they have to make that decision on whether they're going to rent, let's say in central Austin, or purchase in the burbs. And even not millennials, just anybody with a certain price point, that you start to see the spectrum widen a little bit in regards to affordability. But the point is, renters are going to be there for certain locations because there's a polarizing effect going on with affordability for that pocket of people. Well, we appreciate y'all tuning in. Happy New Year. Good luck with your home buying 2021 this year. And to get the most luck, call one of us if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest. See y'all later.
Love it. Thanks for joining in. Bye now.